Welcome to Moving Through and Beyond, a podcast dedicated to sharing inspired journeys of redefining life, vision, and purpose after immense hardship and grief. My goal with this podcast is to give you hope and to let my guest journeys inspire you to make the choice to keep looking up. I'm your host, Carey Conley. Hi, everyone. This is Carey Conley, the host of Moving Through and Beyond podcast. And I have so much fun in my life because I get to bring on some colleagues, some other speakers that are out there in the world making a huge impact, just breathing life into people and encouragement and, just lifting people up. And Marcus Black, I think you lead the pack in just firing people up. So thank you for being here with me.
Listen, the pleasure is mine, my friend. Anytime I get to connect with like-hearted world changers, it's always a privilege and a pleasure for me. So thank you for allowing me to be here and for sharing me with your fabulous community. I'm excited for the conversation.
This is how we found each other, I have to tell you guys. So Clubhouse became a thing a couple of years ago, and I started popping into a room where you were at, and you said one day that you lived in Oklahoma City. And I now have a daughter, and her little people live there. And so I knew I was going to be moving there to make that home base. And I reached out to you and said, dude, I'm going to need a friend there. Help me find my tribe. And you so graciously took time out of your day to sit down with me and talk to me about your life and your background and what you're doing and kind of plug into the right tribe there. So I thank you for that.
Listen, the pleasure is mine. Anytime that we can connect and collaborate, that's what it's all about. We all we got at the end of the day. So I'm honored that I was able to play whatever minimal role in helping you continue to establish your roots in this place.
Yeah, we'll circle back around about how that's all turned out and what I'm involved in now. But I thank you. And, you and I had a really long lunch the first time we met, and you graciously kind of told me that you should not be actually here with me alive at this moment. Told me some really hard stuff that you've been through physically. And I would love for you to share that story.
Absolutely. Yeah. I often tell people I could tell you the world's greatest or saddest sob story, depending on however you want to look at it. I could tell you that. But yeah, just growing up in humble beginnings, it already was tough. Growing up in Mississippi, the poorest state of the union, there was a lot there. I started struggling with crippling anxiety at the age of 9 years old, far younger than anyone should ever be dealing with something that vicious, a monster that haunts so many of you who probably are listening to the sound of my voice now. And that was a difficult place to be. It was a traumatic place to be. But I had to learn how to fight that and navigate that at a much too young age. And then as I continued to grow, when I finally get my bearings a little bit, but I had decided to cater my life to fear of death and dying, I just decided to preserve my life and play it safe in every area of my life before finally I had a moment where I had a dance with death. Death and I did the tango. I often tell people, when you dance with death and you come out on the other side and you live to tell that story, then you are able to show people how it rewires your brain in ways you cannot fathom. So along that journey, it literally was just a routine night. Group of friends and I were chilling, having a great grand old splendid time. And we were on the way home from an incredible evening. And I'll never forget hearing an explosion while driving. Highly do not recommend. That's not a sound you want to hear when you're in that place. And so literally, boom, and I heard this and I'm looking at my friend like, what is happening? And I look at him and he's like, I don't know what's happening. The car starts jumping up and down. We start fishtailing and then we fly off the highway, 75 miles per hour, Dukes of Hazzard style, literally airborne, knocking down trees slapping me in my face, glass slapping me in my face. It was like the fastest, slowest thing that happened ever. It was like slow motion, but warp speed at the same time. Finally, things are kind of just in this trance. And then boom, we hit a big tree. The car accordions, squashes like a little piece of junk scrap metal. And there are 4 human beings inside of that vehicle. Zero idea how any of us walked away. However, there were other plans for all of our lives. And so that was the situation that I lived to tell. When they pulled that car out of the ditch, a literal a piece of scrap metal fell out And then here I am. I live to tell that story. So yeah, I'm not supposed to be here. I feel like I'm living on borrowed time, which is why I speak with so much energy and so much just wanting to what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, I think because you've had that brush with death.
Urgency. That's the
Yes, you
word.
have a sense of
It
urgency
eluded me.
and so much gratitude for every single day that we're here, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, I
Absolutely.
want to go back and touch on something because most of my listeners know, and I'll tell you this now that I'm a huge heart for young adults because I lost my 26-year-old son to suicide. Um, and it's interesting to me that you told me that you grappled with debilitating anxiety at the age of 9. And I don't know if people know this now, Marcus. If you do Google statistics of suicide, it's starting at the age of 5 now, which is, I found that out about a year ago, just doing some research. And it's my whole heart. How do we help these kids? And why is this happening for them? And I don't know if you have any answers to that or any encouragement around that for kids who might be listening
I
or parents of kids that are struggling.
I definitely have some thoughts because I work with kids on a regular and even have a couple my own age. One of whom has already shown some of the traits, kind of some depressive traits. And I think it has to do with the world in which we live and the way that culture and society has shifted and what takes our focus. And there we live in a perpetual state of overwhelm, number one. So we're overstimulated all day. Even at that age, they're overstimulated because they have commands from parents, they have commands from teachers, they have things friends are teaching them. My sons have said things that I've never let come out of my mouth that they got from friends at school. And so they got that stimulation. Then you got screens, tablets, like it's just overstimulation. And you don't know what to do with it. And that creates this feeling of discomfort in the heart and soul, like something is off. And you can't pinpoint what it is, but I'm not exactly where I should be. I should be doing more. I should be better. Even little kids, I should have what Jimmy has. I should have this toy, or my family should go on this vacation. And if it's not there, there's a disconnect. It's the same thing that's happening in adults when they are thumbing through social media and you're looking at all these other people's highlight reels, not thinking that that person may not have gone on a vacation in 5 years and this is the first chance they get to do so, but your entire feed is filled with everybody's highlight reels and all you see is win, 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 win. And you look at yourself and you think loss. Well, I'm not doing any of that. So I must be losing something. It's just off. It's the same thing happening in our kids. And I know for me, it was like we didn't have a lot, and there was abuse in my home. There was verbal abuse, and I know a lot of times these things I likened my life already to like, man, this isn't a way to live. And so sometimes kids who have a great life still feel like this isn't a way to live because they're comparing it to what their friends are saying, not even knowing that some of their friends are embellishing. My boys are into this thing now called Beyblades. I never heard of it. They're really into it. And they have a friend who has told them that this said friend owns every Beyblade, which is not true, but they don't know that. A 5-year-old doesn't know that he's just in this because he wants to feel better about himself. So now my 5-year-old is like, well, if mommy and daddy don't get me every Beyblade, which is like 150 at $40 each, if I don't do that, now something is off and I don't have what I should have. And then here we are. We perpetuate this cycle in their little minds and hearts. They just don't know what to do with that.
Wow. This is just so much and so heavy, Marcus, because
Because then it grows. So it starts there, something as simple as a toy, but then you get in middle school, and then it's clothes, and then it's shoes, and then it's what girl, and then it's body image, and then it's you're coming into yourself, and then there's I mean, here's the thing: kids are rude. Teenagers are very rude and hateful, not because they want to be. All of them are trying to learn themselves and trying to figure out how to cope. And so what do? To get a little attention, to get a laugh and a giggle, you'll put this other person down because it got you positive attention because you're not getting that at home. And so now you don't know what this kid is going through at home or in their own mind. And then it just compounds and it just gets worse and worse as we age.
Right. So I'm curious to know, how are you managing this with your boys?
Communication. Uh, like, yeah, and giving them the space. Here's the thing that was different in our generations growing up: kids don't have feelings. You don't have feelings. You can't have feelings. You do what I say, like I say, when I say, and point blank. Period. But we do the little ones a disservice because they have complex emotions, and as the internet age continues to expand, they're exposed to a lot more, a lot sooner, and so we do them a drastic disservice if we don't talk. So we sit down with them, we turn everything off, we the things that are overstimulating them, we put it down, and we ask them how they feel. I asked my son once, I said, "Hey man, do you think daddy is a good daddy?" And he said, "Sometimes."
Hmm.
And he has no idea the cycles I've broken and what I've done to, but in his mind, if I don't give him everything he wants, then I'm not a good daddy. If I correct him for doing something he shouldn't do, I'm not a good daddy. But I give him the space to say that, and then it creates an opportunity for me to teach him and help him understand why, how I'm protecting him from things he's not even aware are dangers for him. And you could say, like, a lot of parents don't want to do that because we don't want to expose them to such heavy things too soon. But you just said 5 years old, they're already being told things. They're already having other classmates say things to them, and you can't, unfortunately, shield them from that.
And that's so hard, I think, for so many parents to number one, carve out the time like you are doing. Because no parent wants to think, oh, it's not my, not my kid. My kids are great. We're good. Our family's great. We're happy. They're not showing any signs of anything. But if there isn't that platform to give them the space to share their feelings, they're going to squelch them and think that, I can't share this because it's not right. Something's wrong with me.
And that's where the tornado or whirlwind in the mind starts, because now I don't have an outlet to say this, and then you leave them to, into an adolescent mind trying to fathom and put together, and then they lean on their own understanding, which at that age I can't imagine if I was just fully leaning on what I thought was best, which I didn't have the greatest examples. I know my mom really stood to be an encouragement, but I mean, it's only by the grace of God, and by literal, like, other relationships. I'm saying she alone wasn't enough. Parents alone, you alone, even if you do what I'm saying, it's not enough. That's no guarantee that somebody else's voice won't be amplified more in their minds. So then I have to have community around, and I have to talk to the community to get other people to watch out and encourage, because it takes a village. But then that's hard, because now if I say, okay, my kid might be struggling and I need my community to help, then that makes it look like I'm inadequate. Then it makes it look like I'm not enough. So it's just, I mean, we have this really huge problem. I mean, my brother shared some really deep things with my family, and he's going through some big things, and he opened up about some things none of us knew happened to him, and he never told a soul. And the first thing my mom said was, like, it made her feel like a failure, because like she couldn't protect him. And I'm like, no, that's not true. You're not a failure. You did everything you could, and it's still, you have to have other people around as well. And that's kind of where we are right now. So if you're a parent and you're listening to us, like, you got to fight yourself to create time and create space and pour in and be life giving. But even that alone is not enough. You got to have other people doing the same, and we have to protect our kids because they matter.
Marcus, this just popped into my head talking to you. So I now have grandsons, as you know. I'm one that turned 3 and another one that's 3 months. And I said this on another podcast. My thoughts around how they're being raised is 3,000% different than how I thought when I was raising my kids, right? And I'm trying not to be the parent, because I'm not, but I did move to Oklahoma City so that I could be more involved in their life, right? And so I see him going off to school, and I'm always thinking to myself, what are they saying to him when he's there? And my daughter and I talk about this a lot, about where is he going to get his education, and what is that community? Because there's so much toxicity still in schools, way beyond what we're talking about mentally. Now there's the physical, right? Of them worrying that there's going to be a shooting and all sorts of stuff coming at them. And Marcus, I swear to you, I just want to put all of them on a plane and we're all going to move to another planet somewhere. Do you ever feel like that? Like, how are we going to change this from a
Yeah,
grassroots.
my business partner Ashley Faye and I have talked about like, let's just win the lottery, buy an island, move our families there, and then just shield them from the world. And in a perfect world, that sounds cool. And I say that to say I have had those thoughts, but unfortunately, we have to take onus as a society, and it's not you and I specifically, but as a society, that we have allowed things to get to where they are. And you know what it is, honestly? I was watching a TikTok video a couple days ago, and it's cool because it's fun and games. It was a comedian, and this kid asked the comedian, "Why do y'all make all these jokes about drinking out of the water hose? Does sinks not exist?" And then she said, "Who's gonna tell him?" She said, "Listen, we weren't allowed in the house. That's not a thing. When it was summertime, we ran the neighborhood with our friends until literally till it got dark, and then everybody went to your home and you had dinner." And this was even my life. I was kind of the edge of that generation. That was the same thing, and it was a funny joke. But then I think about like where our parents were. Not that they wanted to. It's just number one, the world was different. But children, like you just figure it out. We'll put you a roof over your head, some clothes and food, and then the rest, you just go out in the world and you figure it out, and you'll be home when I see you. But that mindset and that mantra has kind of passed our kids off to be raised in the schools and to be raised by other people. But the world has changed, technology has changed, society has changed, and not necessarily for the better. But even though parents don't trust just sending their kids outside all day, we have replaced that with sit in front of a TV all day or a tablet. So the kids are being robbed of that interaction, that interpersonal, and then the interpersonal action we had with other kids. They don't even have that because it's all screens and virtual. And so it's really like creating complex emotions within kids that they don't know how to process or handle and not verbalizing. And so it's just this big problem. And I say all that to say we could sit back and just say, well, this is terrible. Let's just escape. Like, you join us on the island, you bring yours, and we'll go and just have a good time. But we have to start somewhere, and we have to take accountability and responsibility, even for the parts of the problem we didn't play, bringing a community together, pouring into creating opportunities and avenues, not only for our kids, but for the kids who don't have adults to advocate for them and protect them. And that's how we can start to subtly shift culture. But it's not going to just be you and I. It's got to be all of us.
Agreed. Yeah, it's just so heavy when you think about it, Marcus, right? But I know you work with, like you said, a lot of kids. You're in youth ministry, have done that for years. So you see what they're going through. I went and spoke at a high school last month, and tough crowd. I'm used to talking in front of adults, entrepreneurs who, love personal growth. They love goal setting. They love talking about, their vision, their life. And you're talking to 14-year-olds that for the first time are hearing that they can create their life to look like whatever they want it to be, no matter what their circumstances are. And they are just like blank stares, Marcus. And I just want to, and I know you feel this too, I just want to pour into them. Yeah. And I'm hoping they heard me, even if they didn't respond. I know there's lots of reasons why they don't respond. They don't want to feel like they look stupid or, yeah. Tough.
They heard you. And the benefit I have is I speak every Tuesday at the school, but then during the week, I'm just up there roaming the halls. And I can't tell you how many times, sometimes it's the very kids who were in the corner that looked like they were paying nobody's attention that will come up to me and say, "Hey, you said this. You really think that's true? You said I could do this. Is that really possible? You said I could transform and change my life." So they heard it. It resonated, and you planted seeds that you may not ever see the fruit of, but just know you could have changed somebody's generation. And that's what showing up looks like.
I hope so, because this is really the direction that I want to be more in. So it's just monumental. So tell me about your speaking. What are you doing now with that? What audiences are you getting in front of, and all the things?
The Lord have mercy, everything. So I'm not sure if you are aware, but I actually was nominated toward the end of last year for an award. And so it was a most inspirational and motivational creator. It's for an award show that's basically becoming like the Emmys, Grammys, Oscars of content creators. So they want to celebrate people on social media who are using their platforms for good. And so I got the nomination. It was a months long process because it was a People's Choice Award. So it was like fan vote. And then I actually found out in April, like, so a few weeks ago, I was in Las Vegas and heard my name announced from stage. I won the award. This is what that did, because many of the biggest creators in the world were in that room. On the tail end of that, I have had literally like no time in a day, because all these people are like, there's like publicists. Okay, I got to get you on this show, connect you to this show, connect you to this show. So there's lots of podcasts, there's actual television shows in that. And then there's event organizers and hosts who are like, okay, can we get you here? Can we get you to this event? So there's a lot of events, mindset events, motivational events. There is also businesses. So working in more small business teams right now, I'm setting up something for C-suite execs to come in and help them even know what to look for in mental health in their employees, because morale is at an all-time low. And there are so many corporations who are trying to figure out how to reinvigorate their crowd. But then there's what is it called? There's a fancy name for it, but basically employees are leaving employers in droves because they're like, I'm tired of this. I just want to figure out what I want to do and become entrepreneurs. So in order to help them figure out how to get the best out of people, because what entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. That's hard. It's your schedule, managing that and trying to find clients and leads and convert and actually make a living. Everybody wants to do it, and you want to be your own boss. What you don't realize is you work a lot more hours doing that, and everybody doesn't think that's the case. And so then they're in for a rude awakening. So me being able to step into corporations and help them reinvigorate their crowds, talk to their mental health, lead to healing, and just inspire them so that they can thrive in that area. And then schools. So I've done a few universities in the last couple of months, which has been incredible. And then now high schools. So all over the place.
Oh, wow. And I feel the same way, Marcus, because of my topic of knowing why to have a vision, how to write a vision, knowing your purpose, all that. Same. More kids, universities, corporations, I'm very aware. A couple of them have started bringing me in to, pour into their employees so that their employees feel like they are valuable and that they matter as a human, not just as a producer or an employee, but that they matter as a person, right? So much of that going on right now in that space. And like you, I feel like I could go all over the map. And it's hard because, yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of probably leaders in your community listening to this and a lot of speakers. So I'm going to give y'all one right now that you guys are probably overlooking that can not only be lucrative for you and your business, but can create maximum impact. And now is the time to start reaching out to schools for their professional development days when next school year starts. So they're getting ready to start filling up those days with what they're going to do. And so you can reach out to local districts, like all the districts around, and set up something through the board because they have budget for you to come in and not speak to the kids, to speak to the teachers, because that is a demographic of people who is overworked, underpaid. They are tired and they're feeling the effects. And the kids, like you said, is a tough crowd. Yeah, they sit in front of them every day and are tasked with fighting through all the trauma the kids go through at home and helping to provide them with an education. So that's a window we also have. And I'm reaching out now to try to get on the docket. I got a couple of schools that I'm looking at. So it's working out well.
Yeah, we need to keep talking about that, you and I, because that is definitely where my heart lies. And my daughter, sometimes she and I speak together, as you know. We haven't been doing that lately because she went and had a baby 3 months ago. So there's that. But yeah, we are on the cusp of that and very seeing that door open and really want to be there. So I appreciate that tip. You have your own event that you do every year. I know you have one coming up. I don't know when this will air, but you do this yearly. In my hometown, as a matter of fact, Denver, Colorado, right? It's called
Yes.
Ion Ambition, correct?
Embrace your ambition.
I always get the first E wrong. Embrace your ambition. So how's it going? What are you going to be doing there and talking about?
Oh, it's going incredibly. We have literally assumed a rock star Avengers to come in. So it's business mindset, faith, incorporating all three. So if you feel like, man, I just want to figure out how to level up my business, but maybe there's some information. I'm one connection away. I'm one piece of information away. We brought in the people who can help you with that. One of our actual Friday keynote is right now speaking at VCon with Gary V. So he'll be here to drop some how he got there, how he made that happen in marketing, and just going to be incredible. And then Saturday is mindset. So it's like, if you just need a little kick, you need a little push, been a little down, need a little bit of encouragement, motivation. Oh, we got some motivation for you. And then Sunday is faith. If you've been struggling with like just the belief element and the ability to strengthen that faith, that's what we're doing there. We partner with some mega influencers who are coming in as well to teach about brand building and community building and how they've been able to do that. So it's going to be an incredible weekend. It's June 1st through the 4th in Denver, as you said, and I'm super excited about it.
Wow. You know, Marcus, you could just get on that stage, just you, and deliver for 3 days and rock the house. I mean, your energy, your passion, so infectious, and your faith is a huge part of, I believe, foundationally, has gotten you through everything. And I know that you talk a lot about that too.
Absolutely. It is. And I always tell people at the end of the day, if you listen to the sound of my voice, I end my book with it. You got to be anchored, right? And your anchor doesn't have to be my anchor. So I'm not here to force anything upon you. But if you do not have an anchor, like anchors are mechanisms attached to ships that burrow deep into the ground to stabilize the ship in the storm. I don't know if this is a spoiler for you or not, but there will be storms in your life. Some of y'all are in a storm right now, and you just feel like you're being tossed to and fro, and maybe you need to reevaluate, where are you anchored? Do you have an anchor? Because if you don't, that's what you're feeling. And some people feel like, well, you know, I have an anchor, but it's still storming. Like, yeah, anchors don't stop you from feeling the elements at all. They just keep you from becoming lost at sea. So they stabilize you and hold you until the storm passes, so you don't have to fear for your overall well-being. So that's why faith is a huge element. It is my anchor, and it's what stabilized me through all those crazy storms over the years that now I stand upon to deliver to other people, to help them stabilize their lives and then to level up their lives.
Amen, Marcus. You know, I talk about that all the time, about how my faith has kept, you know, when people ask me, how in the world did you get through everything you've been through? And I tell people, it's just outside of me. I know who I'm grounded in, and I know what my purpose is. Right. So yeah. Well,
I thoroughly admire you as a leader, and what you've overcome is beyond admirable. The will to put one foot in front of the other. Having lost so much so dear to you, you're a special human. And I want you to know that, you know, everything that you've done, everything you represent, and represent for those even who are no longer with us, like, was everything, is everything. And so you just keep shining your light. You keep walking in greatness. You keep encouraging the masses. You keep sharing your voice from the mountaintops, because you can.
I was hoping you would say that.
It's coming.
Because you can. You end everything that you do on social media, and I hope you all will definitely follow Marcus on social media. He's so inspiring. His events, books coming out, all the things, right? Yes. You, my friend, are just a blessing in my life, and I thank you so very much for everything.
The pleasure and the privilege is mine. I'm grateful to know you, my friend.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this podcast. I'm Carey Conley, and I'm here to just keep reminding you to keep looking up. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please share it with a friend or a family member. In order to be successful on this mission, I can't do it alone. Connect with me at www.careyconley.com, and don't forget to sign up for my weekly Do It On Purpose newsletter. Let's build this life-giving vision movement together to end this epidemic, save lives, and create purpose.